Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 2 versus 2 on Caumont Le, and in this one I'm going to be playing the 716th Infantry deck. Surprise! But today anyway I'm going to be playing with Faust, who is a wargame veteran. Some of you guys may recognise him from some of my wargame videos. But he's going to be using the Panzer to support my infantry deck today. And this was an incredibly fun ranked game. It was a ranked 2 versus 2 in which we're playing against another team. Our team opponents are unnamed, but I can tell you we are playing against a 1st Armoured Polish Division and the 2nd Armoured French Division. So it was set to be quite an early push that we expected from our opponents. Either way, I'm just going to set it from my point of view, and I'll speed things up so that we can see what sort of troops I get down on the field. But the reason I wanted to show you this replay today, guys, is mainly because of the teamwork that ended up happening between myself and Faust throughout the game. So myself and Faust have played a few 2v2s now, but I think this was like maybe our 2nd or our 3rd game. But basically we decided at the start of this one I would take the leftish side and then support him on the right with more infantry, because the Panzer gets a very limited amount of infantry in Phase A. They have enough to support themselves, but generally need a little bit of a push if you want to get them going early in the game. So what Faust is going to be doing is he's going to be using a squad of Panzer Grenadiers, a squad of machine guns, plus an AT gun alongside a 2341 recon car and a Puma to make his ground early on. And over on the right side he's got another 2341 recon car with another Panzer Grenadier. So basically he's just spreading out on the right side, going to be using his recon units to try and maybe punch a hole in the opposing forces. And I'm just spreading out quite defensively over on this left side, moving up loads of Osttruppen, supported by the IG-18s of course, the MG-42s, the Command Infantry, and the PaK-37s. So just basically a wide array of troops going all over the place really. Also trying to kind of push my luck into this little town area here as well, trying to make some ground early on, because if we can, it would definitely assist us in winning the game from the get-go. So we are relying obviously on a Panzer deck, which isn't the best income in Phase A, let alone infantry availability, but I like the way that the 716th really complements the Panzer in that it makes up for the lack of availability in Phase A that the Panzer has. So it's quite an interesting combination. By the way, here we can see the IG-18 picking off a Jeep there. My opponent probably didn't unload that Jeep quick enough, so that ended up getting killed. And we can see the first engagements occurring on this right side. So here using a 50 cal is actually a really nice idea to pin down some of the opposing armor that we have against them. But what ends up happening is the 50 cal is actually left out on the road, which basically allows it to get killed very quickly, and already Faust is off to a great start using the 2341s to damage a lot of the opposing forces. Now what I'm doing with my first minute of infantry, or my first minute of requisition points, is bringing up loads of infantry in the form of 5 squads of Osttruppen. Osttruppen only cost 20 points each, so you can bring in 5 squads every minute with this deck in Phase A, which is a lot of infantry, that's for sure. That's basically just to fill the right side. You can see they're all over the place on this right side, just to fill that out, get rid of this little pocket that's going on here, and make us some more ground, because the Allies got a little bit of a +1 there due to this pocket opening on the right side. We're prepared though to take the +1 from the opponents. They are going to be pushing us pretty hard, or at least that's how we sort of see it happening. But what ends up happening is that Faust is now breaking through with his 231s and the 2511 half tracks. So our opponent's going to be coming in with the M5A1 Stuart here, and that's going to basically destroy the recon unit of Faust. But what Faust is going to do is fast move his half tracks out of the way. He's going to bring up his Puma to engage the M5A1. Puma is going to get on target here to engage that Stuart. Stuart has not fired back just yet. The Puma is continuing to miss here. 234 is going to be opening up onto the Jeep as that rushes towards us. That is going to contain another 50 caliber machine gun. Again, a really good choice for dealing with these armoured cars, but just not placed in the right place. You don't want that to be sat on a road. The Stuart does eventually go down to the Puma, so that was nice, and I'm continuing my own engagement over on this left side. My opponent trying to use half-tracks and command carriers to cover the advance of some rifles across the open. But what's going to happen is I'm actually firing upon them with 2 IG-18s and the Pak-40 over on this right side, which basically making it impossible for this infantry to advance. There is also MG34 that's helping out, and this IG-18 over on this left side. So IG-18s on this map having an absolute field day, quite literally killing off a lot of these infantry. Also got another infantry squad trying to sneak up on the left side. Does get hit by a 6-pounder, forcing them to drop out early. On the right side, dropping out my Ostrupen to try and take some of these compounds, but I'm going to be pinned down by another 50 cal. Again, 50 cals were a really good choice. Actually, I think this is the 30 cal in the building there. But yeah, 50 cals are definitely a great choice against most German decks if you can gain access to them, because they can pin down half-tracks and light vehicles that Germany can be so dependent on in the early game. So here, bringing up my Ostrupen, pushing them all the way far forwards, literally just to provide assurance for Faust units. So here you can see there's an AT gun moving up, and there's also AT gun just here that we spotted earlier. So I've got the Ostrupen here, and that's going to allow me to push forwards and get rid of this AT gun while saving Faust's Puma. Now this Puma is actually covered by line of sight from this Stuart. I'm pretty sure the intention of this Stuart was to move all the way around and kill our Puma, but didn't in the end. Ends up having its tracks broken by the 57mm AT gun, because my Ostrupen don't actually get up and close and personal quick enough. What's going to happen here is the Ostrupen trying to get them into range with 50 meter grenades to kill the half-track. Managed to get one of the grenades off, but what ends up happening is machine gun gets on target, Ostrupen get pinned down, and they actually surrender, so that was annoying. By the way, if I go back to my point of view, we can see we made another infantry squad surrender there, and over on this left side, all out in the open, just using IG-18s actually to hold back the opposing Stuarts and light vehicles. That's what's just so great about these IG-18s. Pak-37 there also going to pick up a kill onto the half-track. I've also got a Panzer B2 moving up. Got to be careful not to get it into a fight with the Cromwell, but that doesn't matter since it just gets popped straight up by the 11 AP power of the 6-pounder. That 1-star 6-pounder there definitely doing the job. So it takes out my B2, which was kind of frustrating. I didn't expect the AT gun to, get that kill with one shot. Otherwise, my B2 would have been able to fight back alongside the IG-18. So I was kind of baiting that shot. I just didn't expect to actually hit and penetrate, which was probably about a 40% chance, I guess. I just kind of gambled on that. Either way, use fire position from the IG-18 to take out the gun eventually. Just fire at that tree line where I saw the AT gun before and take it out. So over on the right side, Faust is still pushing relatively hard. He's still got this Puma sitting here. One of his 2-3-4-1s does go down. This 57mm AT gun getting hit hard by the MG42. And my Ostrupen now making ground on this right side. However, I was having trouble removing the spy from this building, and as you can see, they are actually starting to pin down my Ostrupen as they charge towards them, and that was just really, really annoying. Fortunately, Spy can't make the Ostrupen surrender, so I got away with that. And Fausti's going to be bringing in his ME-109 here to shoot down opposing aircraft, so that worked out really nice. And IG-18 still going ham on this left side alongside the MG-34. The Spy going to go down on the right Osttroop able to continue their move forwards. We're maintaining 57% map lead, and we're still in phase A at this point. And for a Panzerlehr, we've made quite a lot of ground on the right side. Faust really doing a good job. Myself sort of backing him up with these Osttroop and squads. So now I'm going to make a little probing attack into these buildings just to see if I can rush up any infantry and make some more ground. I've moved forwards my AT gun in the centre slightly, trying to get it into range of the Cromwell to get rid of that, so I can start to move some of these Osttrooping up. There is an enemy recon plane coming over. Not entirely sure what the purpose of that was. I don't really value recon at all, but in this case it's probably not seeing very much at all. I'm not entirely sure who controls it, but it's not revealing much compared to what we actually have here. You can see I've got multiple infantry squads, got MG42, and all it's spotting really is my Pak 37 and the IG-18s, and even then, you know, that's not much information. Brought up a Flak 88 though, that's definitely going to scare off a recon plane. This was rushed up the road, mainly to engage the Cromwell that was here, but the Pak 40 actually picked up that kill in the end, I believe. Or the Flak 88 did, I can't exactly remember. By the way, still engaging the Voltigers in the town. That command unit just about manages to beat my Osttroop in a one-on-one. Still moving forwards these Osttroop on the right side, trying to get into these compounds just to be a pain in the ass. And I also have some more infantry here, which you can see is going to fast move now into this town if it can. Pak 37 is going to kill off one of the half-tracks there. He's trying to move forwards with this Cromwell as well. He did manage to take out my AT gun on this left side due to the 2-inch mortar carriers. That was kind of a pain in the ass, but either way, still got to deal with it. And in this case, well, I'm just going to bring up another B2, and I also still have the IG-18s, and I furthermore have a Flak 88 that's also moving up. So we're making ground slowly but surely. Also bringing up 2 more machine guns just to hold against infantry that tries to make a push. But over on this right side, well, Faust is still making ground. He's brought up his Panzer Grenadiers, pushing those forwards. He's got his Puma here, getting ready to engage a Stuart, and what he's going to do is try and affect the morale as much as possible of that Stuart. And well, boom, goes the Stuart. He waits for the ambush there in order to get the kill. So here my Osttroopen arriving at the village, and what's going to happen is the Piet squad is going to force out the Osttroopen. The Osttroopen are actually going to kill off the command infantry, and that gives me access to the town there. Over on the left side, another B2 goes down. I think this time it was due to the Cromwell. It had done a little bit of damage against the enemy infantry, but just a loss that probably shouldn't have happened. So now the rifles again pushing back towards me. You've got the Osttroopen here that trying to get towards these tree lines, but they're going to get pinned down by all of these rifle squads. So I'm trying to get my Flak 88 alongside the Pak 40 to provide a little bit of fire support, bringing in my own ME109 G0 there to take down this Hurricane Mark IV that was brought up. And well, after a very long time, finally managed to get the kill there. Break off with my ME109. The MG34 going to be killed on the left side. Actually bringing up a Werframmen now. And this is quite simply to stop the advance of units on the left side. By the way, infantry is doing relatively well on the right. Managed to get into these compounds. Faust's own Panzer Grenadiers are holding the lines in certain areas. This Puma's finally gone down. There's not actually many like armoured vehicles on the right side at the moment. Pretty much just relying on all of this infantry that we've brought up to hold the line. Same on the left side, not really many vehicles as such. It's pretty much just Grenadier here. We've got a couple of Osttroopen sitting around, MG squads, and then IG-18s and the rest of it. So these Osttroopen here, as you can see, they are drawing the fire from the Vickers, the rifle squads, and because of that I'm able to fire on them with the Pak 40 and the Flak 88s. Now this Pak 40 does actually pop a Dragoni squad before it drops out, which was really good. And over on the left side, I think I've got just enough presence here to stop them moving on to me. Furthermore, I do have the Verflammen, which lands 2 lovely rockets onto this tree line. The Osttruppen moving through the town here and bumping into Voltigeurs. Now, these Voltigeurs aren't actually that great, so Osttruppen are a worthy match for them, which is interesting. And as soon as those Voltigeurs are dead, I should have a good chance of making some ground. However, these half-tracks are pushing forwards. We've got the little bit of resistance on the far right due to these Osttruppen and the Panzer Grenadiers, but still going to be careful here that we don't lose too much ground on the right side. However, Faust got us covered as he starts to bring up a Befehl Panther. And this was pretty much what he was saving for in order to save the day. So he's going to use that to start to engage the half-track there and get rid of that. Meanwhile, on this left side, I'm still holding strong. A lot of my stuff very much spread out. And we don't really have the risk of off-map artillery anyway, but I've started to get used to spreading out my units a lot more on this deck, and you can see it really coming to light in this one. I've just got units spread the whole way across. And I've only got 1 Flak 88 here. That Flak 88 was more than enough to help deal with the Sherman 3, as well as many of the half-tracks and armoured units that were moving up the centre of the map. Over on the left side, quite a lot of infantry pushing me now, some rifles, backed up by a rifles leader pushing into the Italian infantry. Also got the IG-18 here to try and help me out and block this left flank. However, the IG-18 is engaged within small arms fire, so just trying to get that on target as soon as possible, try and stun these Strelzy and take them out. Hurricane Mark IV going to be used to bomb out my Pak 37 there, but he's going to pay for that AT gun with a kill onto his plane, which probably, well, which definitely not worth it. So my infantry here, again, just spreading out. Osttruppen have walked through the town now, we've taken that. Just going to continue. Supported by Faust's Panzer Grenadiers, the Osttruppen are actually quite an interesting combination, because it looks like a quite weak push through this town, which eventually ended up destroying the Voltigeurs. You don't really count on like Osttruppen having a Panzerfaust, right? But if you are assisted by a Panzer Grenadier squad, then you can use the element of surprise, which is really nice. By the way, here we're going to see the Pak 40 still engaging the Sherman 3. Osttruppen spreading out. Osttruppen still controlling the right side. Faust is actually bringing up his own Flak 88 here, I believe. And then I've got an IG-18 assisting him on this right side. That's actually going to be helping stun the OP M4A1, which gets bailed out by the 2303. It's also the Voltigeurs here getting taken out by the MG42 and my IG as well. I brought over a HS-129. That's basically to start destroying some of these half-tracks and some of the more important armoured units that we've been seeing on the opposing side. Yeah, just in general, I really enjoyed this game because I was working so hard with Faust on the right side. And what ends up happening is his Befehl Panzer, or Befehl Panther, actually gets taken out here, which is actually quite a big blow considering we spent quite a while saving up for it. But in general, we're still pretty safe. They're not pushing back towards us. At this moment, when you've killed a Befehl Panther, that would be the moment that you push back. But unfortunately for them, well, there's a Flak 88, and that's going to slam a shot into the front armour of the M4A1. M4A1 trying to get the pin onto the Flak 88, and is going to be able to. That's pretty much what you got to do at this point. Now seeing this Flak 88, you should probably be moving forwards the Stuart to try and kill off the Flak 88 for good, because there's no way that Faust is going to leave that there to be killed off, so he's going to fall it back. So you want to rush it with the Spey. And after killing a Befehl Panther, that's when you want to, take full advantage of that. By the way, what happens here, these Panzer Grenadiers still very much alive, so they actually take out the carrier that was carrying the AT gun on this right side. They've just got to kill off the AT gun before they die themselves, but they're getting very close. unfortunately not able to. If we jump to the neutral perspective, this AT gun very much still alive. A couple of bazooka squads being moved up here are engaging with my Osttrooper. Not quite in range to use their own SMGs, so that's okay. Got to be careful though, because I'm being engaged by these tanks. Faust's Panzerwerfer going to be used to try and take out that AT gun, but it's actually going to be up to me to move forwards the Osttrooper and finish those off. So just going to pick off that AT gun there, and over on the left, while I'm still holding relatively strong, going to be starting to bring up another Flak 88 to assist me moving forwards. This Pack 40 here in the bush really helped me out throughout the game, controlling this centre road, and then the Flak 88 with its multiple HE rounds destroying infantry for me and pinning them down. So that's given me the chance here to push forwards with these Osttrooper. Over on the left side, IG-18 served me well. IG-18 here also did very well for me. Getting that lovely IG-18 crossfire going is just so good in certain situations. And up here, well, as you can see, half-track's broken all the way through. And this is providing us with a lot of extra ground at the moment. But eventually that half-track is going to get cut off. So we finally pinned down the Dragoni here after a little while. I'm continuing to move the Osttrooper towards them to try and get the surrender. Over on the left side, a rifle squad did manage to conceal itself in the tree there, but when it comes under the fire from a Kubel MG, some Italian infantry and the IG-18, well, that's going to get pinned down and destroyed very quickly. And my Verflammen here was actually moving up to be able to provide a strike further up and allow me to move forwards my infantry on the far left. At the moment, IG-18 again still going to work, takes out another recon squad there. The squad that broke all the way through, I think, got eventually destroyed. Here we can see like an advance of enemy troops. We've got the M4A2 alongside some Voltigers. Moving up the Panzer IV to engage the M4A2. See, the Panzer IV actually gets the jump on the Sherman, but the Sherman has a better aim time. Sherman actually misses and the Panzer IV gets the kill, so that works out, and followed swiftly by a kill onto an M20. So a really, really nice job there by the Panzer IV. Also brought up some Italian infantry here now to provide a Panzerfaust to cover the road. And as long as we have all of this infantry in all of these locations, like this Osttrooper over on the right side, Osttrooper here and here and here, the front line is just going to remain as it is. And that's quite interesting because there's nothing really they can do to get rid of these Osttrooper unless they engage them with infantry. And even then I could just put them on to return fire. Now what I do over on the left side is I use one of the Verflammen rockets just to blow up the end of this tree line here. Got this Flak 88 that I've brought up, and that's going to be starting to pop off the armoured vehicles that have been plaguing me on this side for so long. Use the last few rockets just to hit this tree line to make myself more safe. Take out the half track there. And if I jump to the neutral perspective at this point, well, we can see that their left flank is faltering entirely. They've got quite a lot of infantry making up the centre here, but as soon as my IG-18s get on target, they're going to be able to deal with them quite nicely. Over on this right side, the Superzi trying to get close to the Osttrooper but getting caught out in the open. What would have been nice here is to see the 25 pound actually use some smoke to cover the advance of the napalm to allow them to get into effective range to kill off my Osttrooper. But what ends up happening instead is, because my Osttrooper can fire across the open, well, he's actually just going to use artillery to pin them down, but he actually loses a lot of his Superzi because they're not smoked, and the IG-18 is still able to fire alongside the Flak 88. Over on this right side though, a Befehl Panther brought up by Faust to kill off more Shermans here and there. My HS-129, so just freely moving about, and I take out an M20 command that has pushed forwards the front line on the right side with that HS-129. Not much he can do about it. Gonna be swinging it across now to just kill off some half tracks. I actually end up aiming fought this 40mm Bofors carrier, which seems a bit risky, but at the end of the day, if I can kill that, that's one more AA I don't have to deal with. The opponent's bringing in a DB7B. Wasn't sure exactly why this was brought in. Like, smoke bombers are great in certain situations, but when I have 2 fighters in the sky, it seemed like an utter waste of points, and the smoke didn't really hit anything. I can only think at this point they were almost trolling, I guess, just bringing out the smoke for absolutely no reason on this road. If anything, that helps us move our infantry further up the road. So I've managed to break through now up to this tree line. I've actually bumped into a Firefly the opponents have brought in. But yeah, slowly making ground here. IJ-18's moving up and supporting my Ostrupen. These Ostrupen all holding the front line here. And same on the right side. And I guess this just plays up to the fact that don't get scared of there being like stuff holding the front line like this, because often it can just be little things that don't actually make much of a difference in the grand scheme of the game. Either way, after 24 minutes and 25 seconds, myself and Faust are victorious over our opponents, and well, the kills to deaths really say it all. 2,070 kills for me, 790 losses. 2,280 kills with Faust with 1,250 losses, so we both did relatively well in this game. Our opponents doing the best they could, and I think in certain areas they really responded well, especially to like the early push. They brought in the Stuarts, which I guess is probably the best way to try and defeat the Pumas and the light armoured vehicles. However, it just really wasn't enough in the end to stem the tide, especially as soon as like you concede ground to this sort of 2v2 combo. I'm just going to be filling up that ground with Ostrupen to make it so difficult to push back. And you saw at the end there, like, just because they didn't know what was in those locations, like in all those buildings, they can't just approach it with nothing. They need to like have a full like combined push just to force those infantry out of their location, and that can be really difficult to deal with. But either way, yeah, that's about it. I would look at the kills and losses, but I had to reset the replay as usual. We can see that the IG-18s, they did work. We also see that the ME-109 took out 2 Hurricanes, and this Verflammen also destroyed a relatively nice amount of infantry. Black 88 also hitting infantry and killing a Sherman 3. More IG-18 kills there. HS-129 killed a Cromwell 5 on the left side. More kills for a Flak 88. And this befell Panther killing off a few of the half-tracks and Sherman 3s. So either way, yeah, I think we did pretty well. The main thing that I wanted to point out in this game though was just like the teamwork in 2v2 rank that can really come into play. And myself and Faust had a great time trying out the Panzerlehr and 716th combination, and hopefully you guys did too. So in the meantime, that's all. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.